Urgent, Stephen Curry makes a strong statement about LeBron James and Luka Dončić. Stay until the end to find out everything. But before starting the video, leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any important news about the Lakers. The NBA landscape quaked when the blockbuster trade was finalized. Luka Dončić headed to the Los Angeles Lakers, teaming up with LeBron James, an unprecedented backcourt power pairing that instantly became the season's biggest storyline. And in the heart of that maelstrom sat Stephen Curry, veteran of a dynasty built on overcoming giants, yet now confronting something he'd never fully anticipated. Curry was midway through his usual afternoon shooting session at the Chase Center practice court when a subtle chime from his phone alerted him. He glanced down. The screen flashed radar after radar of notifications. Trade alerts, WOJ bombs, social media frenzy. A colleague gently tapped him, muttering, "It's real." Steph paused mid-dribble, the sleek bounce of the ball suddenly heavy in his ears. He stepped off the line, shoulders slumping as disbelief crept in. At that moment, cameras from Warriors media captured the raw expression of the moment. Confusion, awe, and a faint flicker of guarded excitement. Curry let out an audible wow before glancing across the empty court. That single word reverberated across NBA highlights in minutes. A whisper that spoke volumes. "They did it," he finally said, voice measured. "They really did that." From rivalry to reinvention. Curry has spent his career chasing and battling LeBron, not out of disdain but because that rivalry sharpened him. The finals clashes with Cleveland, the playoff rematches, the global discussion of who was the best, all of it fueled a competitive fire in Steph that ignited his legend. Meeting that fire often was LeBron's unwavering excellence. Luka, by contrast, arrived on Curry's radar as the next big chess piece in basketball's generational flow. Steph admired Luka's vision, court craft, and competitive intelligence. "Kid's got the instincts of a vet," Curry said in 2023. But imagining those instincts merging with LeBron's? That was uncharted territory. Now, with the trade a reality, Curry wasn't just surprised, he was forced to reckon with a new reality too. A Lakers squad with unmatched playmaking versatility. If you told me 2 seasons ago that LeBron and Luka would become teammates, especially with LA, man, I'd have said you were dreaming. The competitor's first thought. Despite the shock, a spark of Curry's trademark competitive spirit soon reignited. Interviewers caught him moments later, cracking a wry smile. "It's one thing seeing this hypothetically," he said. "Another seeing it live. That duo is going to be pure trouble. 2 ball handlers, 2 decision makers, 2 guys who make stuff happen." He continued, eyes steely, "We've faced big lineups before. But this is Houdini-level deception. Pick-and-roll traps, off-ball slashes, constant reads. You guard one, you get killed by the other. You switch, and someone's blossoming with a wide-open look." His laugh broke the tension. "Come on, this is fun, in a terrifying way. Respect, not fear." Curry's reaction was clear. Respect, not fear. He understood greatness, and he understood how it forced you to re-up your own greatness. "Respect the spin," he joked. "But I'm not folding my hand. We'll see how that hand stacks up." That wasn't bravado. It was a promise. Curry had built his legacy on overcoming obstacles that seemed insurmountable, overcoming a league that wrote him off because of his size or style. Now he faced another chapter in that test, contending with a duo that could rewrite basketball's balance of power. The aftermath begins. By day's end, analysis was everywhere. Hot takes, tactical breakdowns, fan disbelief. Curry quietly thumbed through them during his cool-down, absorbing the narrative but not consumed by it. The Lakers had issued a statement. Now the Warriors would craft their response. In that moment, Curry, arch-rival, generational icon, and champion, masked his shock with resolve. "Game on," he whispered to himself, echoing a journey that once began as a challenge, and now stood as an epic confrontation. Before Luka Dončić ever wore the purple and gold, there was Steven and LeBron, 2 names so deeply etched into NBA lore that their every matchup became a spectacle, a battle of styles and generations. If basketball was poetry, then Curry and LeBron were its most contrasting verses. The deep-range sorcerer versus the freight train strategist. Their story was never just about wins or championships. It was about legacy, the origins of a basketball war. Their first finals clash in 2015 felt like a passing of the torch moment. LeBron, the established juggernaut returning to Cleveland to win one for his city, faced a rising Warriors team built around ball movement, defensive grit, and Curry's spellbinding shooting. Curry wasn't supposed to win, but he did. In that finals, and the next, and almost again before the infamous 3-1 comeback. Every one of those games burned into history. And as years passed, each matchup only added layers to their story: admiration, frustration, redemption. Off the court, the respect between them ran deep. On it, though, there was fire. Every time we play, Curry once said, I know I have to be perfect, because he doesn't give you second chances. LeBron, in turn, praised Steph as the most dangerous shooter who ever lived, but also acknowledged what made him elite: his mind. He beats you not just with shots, LeBron explained once, but with the way he sees the game 2 steps ahead. A rivalry evolved. Yet rivalry never stays still, and in 2025, it evolved once more. This time, it was LeBron welcoming Luka, the European prodigy, into his corner. To Steph, it felt like watching a chessboard shift mid-game. It's weird, Curry admitted in an interview on a Warriors podcast. Because part of me sees this as the final evolution of Bron. He's not just leading anymore, he's building something. He's thinking like a general now. Steph knew what this meant. LeBron wasn't preparing for a farewell tour. He was rearming. And with Luka by his side, he'd found a teammate who could prolong that fire. The rivalry had turned into something greater. A final act, maybe, but one designed to burn even brighter than the rest. The challenge rekindled. And that's where the edge came back. Not fear. Not resentment. But motivation. Back in Golden State's practice facility, Steph began altering his off-season approach. More film study. More conditioning. Tactical drills focused on breaking double playmaker defenses. He watched hours of Luka's pick and rolls, scanned every LeBron-led fast break, searching for moments of vulnerability, because every dynasty needs an adjustment to survive a new empire. You've got to evolve, he told his trainer, because they just did. Respect sharpens the sword. Despite the looming challenge, Curry didn't flinch. He leaned into it. In private moments with his family and teammates, he described this next phase as the purest version of competition. We all know what it's like to win, to lose, to lead, he said. But what we have now is rare. We get to do it again. Against the best. On a new board. Steph wasn't fighting LeBron anymore, he was fighting LeBron and Luka. But that only made the mission more thrilling. Iron sharpens iron, he reminded his team, and this is molten. Looking ahead to the showdown. The NBA calendar had just released. The first Lakers-Warriors matchup was already circled in bold red by every analyst and fan across the globe. Curry, though, didn't need the date. He had it memorized. It wasn't just another game. It was the renewal of a rivalry forged in finals fire, now with a dangerous new element added. A triangle of basketball brilliance, where every move would echo into history. In the weeks following the blockbuster trade, Stephen Curry found himself watching film in a way he hadn't in years. It wasn't because he doubted his game, it was because he respected Luka Dončić so much. This wasn't just any addition to LeBron's squad. Luka wasn't a sidekick. He was a second conductor. A basketball savant with creativity that bordered on chaos, except everything he did had purpose. A quiet storm packaged in step-backs and no-look lasers. The laboratory. Curry's film sessions became deeper, slower, more granular. He didn't just watch Luka's highlights. He studied his mistakes, his counters, his instincts when plays broke down. What alarmed Curry wasn't Luka's shot-making. It was his patience. His ability to warp time on the court. He doesn't rush, Steph told assistant coach Bruce Fraser. It's like he sees the game 5 seconds ahead, and makes you dance before you even realize you're out of position. That terrified Curry more than any vertical leap or crossover. Luka didn't need to be faster, because he made the defense slower. Admiration with an edge. There was something else brewing inside Steph. Admiration, sure, but layered with challenge. It reminded him of when LeBron was younger, when every move felt like it had gravitational pull. Now Luka had that same orbit. He's got that weird calm, Steph mused during a podcast taping. You hit a three in his face and he smiles. You get a stop and he resets like nothing happened. That's not confidence. That's belief. Curry respected belief. He built his own career on it. But now he had to break Luka's, or at least test it. Crafting the counterattack. If Luka was a tactician, Curry had to become a disruptor. He worked with defensive coaches, brainstorming how to cut off Dončić's oxygen. Not with double teams, Luka would carve those up, but with disjointed switches, zone traps, and denying early actions. They practiced rotating defenders mid-possession, shadowing Luka without fouling. Steph even suggested implementing a soft hedge from unexpected angles, something almost never done against a point forward. He thrives on rhythm, Curry explained. So we have to take rhythm away. Even if it means being uncomfortable ourselves. It was a risk. But greatness demanded it. The mental game begins. Curry also understood that Luka's greatest weapon wasn't just his pass or shot, it was his mind. Luka baited defenders into reacting. He talked. He played with body language. He read emotional tells like a poker pro. So Steph got quieter. He worked with a mental performance coach focusing on emotional neutrality. He told his team, don't let Luka read you. Don't feed the genius. This was chess now, high-speed, high-stakes chess. And Curry wasn't going to be outwitted without a fight. Preparing for the storm. The Warriors' training camp buzzed with energy, but it was focused. Curry wasn't preaching fear, he was building confidence. We've beaten great duos before, he reminded them. But this one's different. This one's two generals. You want to beat them, you better outthink them. Behind closed doors, Steph knew what Luka represented. Not just a threat. Not just a new face. But a reminder that time moves forward, and that great players don't wait to be crowned. They take the moment. He's not coming for LeBron's shadow, Steph said. He's coming to make his own. And Curry? He was determined not to let that happen easily. The date was circled in every locker room, across every studio desk, and in millions of fans' calendars around the world. Warriors versus Lakers. But not just any game. This was the first official battle between Stephen Curry and the newly formed super duo of LeBron James and Luka Dončić. The anticipation was electric. It felt like a playoff game in November. Steph felt it too, not as pressure but as presence. Lights, cameras, legends. The Chase Center pulsed under the bright lights. Courtside, celebrities and legends sat shoulder to shoulder. The energy was thick, like everyone was holding their breath. In warm-ups, Curry did his usual, headphones in, routine crisp, form perfect. But his eyes kept darting across the court. LeBron was stretching, calm as ever. Luka, expression unreadable, was sinking floaters off glass like it was child's play. Steph smiled to himself. Let's see what this feels like in real time. The opening tip, calm before the chaos. From the tip, the tempo was surgical. Luka walked the ball up with that signature slow cadence. LeBron cut weak side, testing reactions. In just 3 possessions, the Lakers had already shown 10 different looks. It was mind games from the start. But Curry responded instantly, not with scoring but orchestration. He ran defenders ragged through screens, flared to corners, and found Klay Thompson for back-to-back threes. The crowd roared. Then it happened. Midway through the first quarter, Curry danced into a high screen, saw Anthony Davis lurking, and casually stepped back from 32 feet. Nah, nothing else. He backpedaled with his signature smirk, glancing just briefly at Luka. Dončić, without blinking, came down and answered with a no-dribble pull-up 3 from the wing. Just as cold. The duel had begun. Moments that echo. The first half was a cerebral tug-of-war. Curry dictated pace while Luka dissected spacing. LeBron, ever the engine, imposed himself in bursts, attacking switches, setting monster screens, hitting cutters like a quarterback. Curry took note of everything. In one timeout huddle, he told his team, "They're not trying to outrun us. They're trying to outthink us. Stay sharp. React fast. No autopilot." But even with all the prep, Steph couldn't help but feel it. The surreal weight of guarding Luka one possession, then having LeBron collapse the paint the next. It was the basketball version of a pressure cooker, and the temperature was rising. Fourth quarter fireworks. The game was tight heading into the fourth. Fatigue began to show, but the stars rose. Curry hit a logo three. Luka found LeBron for a monster alley-oop. The building shook. Then, with 2:47 left and the game tied, Luka called for an ISO on the wing, with Steph switched onto him. The crowd rose. Luka jabbed once, twice. Step back. Release. Swish. Steph came down the next play and ran a double curl, flaring off a screen, catching and releasing in one motion. Bucket. No celebration. Just war. The final sequence. Down 2 with 11 seconds left, Warriors ball. Curry had it in his hands. Double-teamed instantly, he split the trap with a lightning dribble, pulled up at the free throw line, and paused. Every Laker rotated toward him. And in that split second he dumped it to a cutting Kuminga for the dunk. Tie game. But the Lakers had one last shot. Luka brought it up. LeBron set a decoy screen, slipped away. Luka didn't use it. He backed down Wiggins slowly, spun, pump-faked, rose, and missed. The buzzer sounded. Overtime. Respect in the air. The Lakers would go on to win by 4 in OT, thanks to a barrage of LeBron free throws and one last Luka dagger. But afterward, the moment that went viral wasn't a shot. It was Steph and Luka, exhausted, jerseys drenched, exchanging a look and a handshake that said everything. Respect earned. LeBron joined them moments later, pulling both men into a quick huddle, nodding. It felt like history paused just long enough for greatness to acknowledge itself. The locker room was quiet. Not defeated. Not broken. But quiet in the way a fighter sits after 12 rounds, still standing but bruised, calculating. Stephen Curry sat in front of his locker, feet in an ice bucket, towel over his head, eyes locked on nothing in particular. The Warriors had lost in overtime. The Lakers' new duo had delivered. But what stuck with Steph wasn't the loss, it was what he'd felt during the game. He played great. But not great enough. A new kind of pressure. In his 13 seasons, Curry had faced nearly every defensive scheme imaginable. Blitzes, traps, zones, face guards. But this was different. This wasn't just about athleticism or speed. This was cognitive overload. It felt like solving a puzzle where the pieces kept changing shape, he told Steve Kerr in the post-game coach's room. LeBron had aged like fine wine, maybe slower but still dominant in bursts, and Luka filled every gap. He absorbed attention, slowed down panic, and made decisions with surgeon-like calm. Steph was used to being the smartest man on the court. Now he had company. Mental load management. Back home that night, Curry didn't sleep much. He watched film not as critique but as confrontation. Not just what did I miss, but what did they know that I didn't? One clip stuck with him. Third quarter, 3:11 on the clock. Steph was curling off a screen and Luka didn't even flinch. He'd anticipated the pass, took a step early, and intercepted it like a safety reading a quarterback. That wasn't film study. That was feel. He's not reacting, Steph said aloud to himself. He's reading. Shifting the approach. The next morning, practice was light, but Curry's tone wasn't. He pulled aside the second unit during drills, walking through what he called mental reps. You see what they do? They don't force shots, they force errors, he said. So let's flip that. Let's make them think. Let's move without patterns. Let's go jazz, not classical. He was changing the rhythm, moving from rigid sets to fluid improvisation. If Luka and LeBron were chess masters, Steph would become the wild card they couldn't predict. Conversations with the core. Later that day, Steph, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson had a private film session. No coaches, no staff. Just the trio that had weathered a dynasty together. We've been here before, Draymond reminded them. Big teams. Big names. But what do we always have that they don't? Steph leaned back. Tempo and trust. Klay nodded. And chaos. It was a reminder, they didn't have to mimic the Lakers' control. They had to disrupt it. The answer wasn't slowing down, it was speeding up the unpredictability. Fuel, not fire. To the outside world, the loss had sparked headlines. Are the Lakers now the team to beat? Can Curry still carry the load at 37? But Curry wasn't insulted. He was motivated. Because for the first time in years, the target had shifted off his back and onto theirs. Let them have the hype, he said in a press scrum. We've had it. Now we're hunting again. That's the fun part. Preparing the mind for the rematch. In the days that followed, Curry's workouts became quieter, more focused. He did visualization drills. Not just shooting under pressure, but thinking under pressure. He practiced finding cutters with one hand, passing with his eyes closed for timing, calling audibles mid-set. If LeBron and Luka represented structure and synergy, Steph would become chaos and clarity all at once. They'll expect the same Steph, he said to Fraser one evening. But the next time we meet, I want them to meet a version of me they've never seen. Stephen Curry had always been a leader, by example, by excellence, by spirit. But now something was different. This wasn't just about preparing for a season. This was about preparing for a reckoning. The Lakers weren't just another Western Conference threat. They were the mountain. The new empire. And Steph could feel the shape of destiny forming, pulling all signs toward a collision in May or June. And if the Warriors were going to win that battle, it wouldn't be because of one game or one player. It would be because of belief. Leadership beyond the floor. Practice became more intense, not physically but mentally. Curry began arriving earlier than usual, not just to train but to talk. He pulled younger players aside. Not just for drills. For perspective. You know what pressure feels like when the ball's in your hands and you've got two future Hall of Famers reading you like a book? He asked Brandon Podziemski. The rookie nodded. Now imagine knowing you can beat them, because you already decided you would before the game even started. He wasn't just teaching execution. He was planting seeds of conviction. The Warriors' way evolved. The Warriors had long prided themselves on movement, harmony, and fluidity. But Curry knew the old ways, while still beautiful, wouldn't be enough anymore. The Lakers had evolved. Luka had bent their structure. LeBron had filled in the cracks with experience. So Steph began to bend his own team's identity. He worked with Kerr and the staff to emphasize hybrid spacing, faster secondary actions, and unconventional mismatches. Sometimes Draymond brought the ball up. Sometimes Steph played decoy for entire quarters. Let's be unpredictable, he told the team. Let's make them chase ghosts. It wasn't arrogance. It was adaptation. Challenging the core. Even veterans weren't exempt from Curry's new edge. He challenged Klay. You still got that playoff Klay in you? Klay smirked. You know I do. Then show them before April. He challenged Draymond. They're going to test your control, not your strength. Stay clean. Stay loud. Draymond nodded, eyes focused. He knew what Curry meant. The Lakers wanted to bait him, not beat him. Steph challenged himself too. He studied fatigue patterns, changed his conditioning, and added elements to his off-ball movement that even seasoned defenders couldn't track. If the playoffs were a battlefield, Steph wanted to be a ghost, everywhere and nowhere all at once. Building the collective mind. In one team meeting, Steph stood up unprompted. Look, we've seen dynasties fall because they thought the past would protect the future. It won't. He paused, scanning the room. What will protect the future is us, thinking together, feeling together, moving like one heartbeat. It wasn't a speech. It was a statement of intent. From that day on, the Warriors began practicing in silence for certain stretches. No calls. No signals. Just trust and motion. It was uncomfortable. At first. But slowly patterns emerged. Eyes became sharper. Chemistry deepened. The team wasn't just playing, they were sinking. Respect for the enemy, not fear. In interviews, Curry kept the message consistent. The Lakers are great. They're smart. But so are we. So now it's about which team evolves faster. He refused to throw shade. He didn't downplay Luka's brilliance or LeBron's legacy. That wasn't the point. Respect was part of the strategy. Ego creates blind spots. And Steph's eyes were wide open. They're not chasing us anymore, he said to Kerr one night. We're chasing them. That's why we're going to win. Quiet before the fire. As March approached, the standings grew tighter. Every game mattered. But to Curry it wasn't about seeding, it was about sharpening. He didn't want an easy path. He wanted to earn the moment when he could stand across from LeBron and Luka again, this time not in the regular season but with legacy on the line. And he wanted his team to be ready not just to play, but to believe. The playoffs had arrived. For most players, it's the beginning of pressure. For Stephen Curry, it was the beginning of clarity. The noise fades. The schedule tightens. The world watches. And Steph? He locks in. But this year felt different. Not just because the Warriors were contenders again, but because across the bracket, a familiar storm was building. The Los Angeles Lakers. With LeBron James and Luka Dončić now fully integrated, they were dismantling teams with a mix of precision and intimidation. Each game they won brought them one step closer to Golden State. The basketball world could feel it coming. So could Steph. Round 1, the test of focus. Golden State's first-round matchup was against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Young, fearless, fast. They played without hesitation, pushing tempo and attacking mismatches. But Curry welcomed the chaos. He didn't try to dominate. He distributed early, letting Wiggins and Clay catch fire. He moved relentlessly without the ball, pulling defenders out of position. His gravity once again became the system. By Game 3, OKC had figured it out. They blitzed him, forced others to shoot, tried to wear him down. But Steph responded with brilliance. In Game 4 he scored 38 points, 21 of them in the fourth quarter. Not just threes but floaters, mid-range, post-ups against switches. A complete game. The Warriors closed the series in 5. Good start, he said to reporters. But privately, his eyes were already scanning ahead. The Lakers advance. Across the bracket, the Lakers faced the Clippers in a brutal, physical series. But Luka was surgical. He averaged nearly a triple-double, carving defenses with no wasted motion. LeBron chose his spots, but when he attacked, it was thunderous. Curry watched every game. Not as a fan. Not as a rival. As a student. He took notes on Luka's decision trees. Noticed how he delayed pick and rolls to freeze defenders. Saw how LeBron was used more as a screener and finisher, saving energy for late-game bursts. They're conserving. Calculating, he told Bruce Fraser. They're saving their bullets for us. Quiet conversations. Between games, Curry had quiet moments with Kerr and the veterans. The bracket's doing what it always does, Kerr said one day. Taking out the noise. Leaving the stories. Curry nodded. The West was thinning out. Denver was still a threat. Phoenix had flashes. But all signs pointed to a collision course that felt inevitable. Curry wasn't nervous. He was readying. Old foes, new stakes. In the second round, the Warriors faced the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team stacked with length, defense, and a chip on its shoulder. Anthony Edwards played with fire. Gobert and Towns clogged the paint. But Steph wasn't thrown off. He adjusted. He ran smaller lineups, pushed pace, and manipulated angles. He hunted mismatches not by attacking them, but by creating them 2 passes ahead. It was chess. He averaged 28 points, 7 assists, and just 1.2 turnovers in the series. Golden State advanced in 6. By then, the Lakers had already swept the Suns. The Western Conference Finals were now set. Warriors versus Lakers. Curry versus LeBron and Luka. It wasn't hype anymore. It was reality. The city holds its breath. In both Los Angeles and San Francisco, the buzz reached fever pitch. Media stories exploded. Debates reignited. Is this LeBron's last run? Can Luka be the face of the league? Is Steph still the guy who can ruin dynasties? Curry didn't flinch. He wasn't answering questions anymore. He was writing the next chapter. The calm before the collision. At the final practice before Game 1, the Warriors finished their walkthrough in near silence. No shouting. No music. Just laser focus. Kerr brought them in. We've been here. They have too. But who wants it cleaner? Sharper? Who's willing to suffer for it more? No one answered. They didn't need to. Steph looked around at his teammates. Young and old. Battle-tested and hungry. Let's make them uncomfortable, he said. Let's remind them what it's like to face a team that never stops moving. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals wasn't just a playoff opener. It was a moment in basketball history. For Stephen Curry, it felt like standing on a mountain, not at the summit but at the edge of a cliff where only one path leads up and the other down. Across the court stood two forces, LeBron James, the ageless icon, Luka Dončić, the genius in his prime. The Lakers weren't just a team. They were a theory that IQ, size, and patience could dominate even the fastest and smartest. But Steph didn't see Goliaths. He saw a challenge. Opening jabs. The Chase Center roared with electricity. Fans were on their feet from tip to buzzer. Every dribble echoed like a drumbeat. The first quarter was surgical. LeBron probed, Luka orchestrated. Steph, meanwhile, tested the floor like a sprinter adjusting his cleats, reading, calculating, timing. He wasn't in a rush. Then it happened. Midway through the second, Curry danced off a split screen, spun Luka's switch, and nailed a deep three from 29 feet. Nothing but net. The arena erupted. But Steph didn't celebrate. He just looked down at the floor, then up at Luka. Game on. Dončić responds. Luka didn't blink. Next possession, he slowed the game to a crawl, used a subtle jab step to freeze Wiggins, and delivered a no-look dime to Anthony Davis cutting baseline. Curry smirked. Okay, I see you. This was no ordinary game. This was a conversation between savants. Back and forth, the stars traded blows. LeBron didn't dominate statistically, but his influence was everywhere, helping on rotations, calling switches before they happened, orchestrating chaos. By halftime, it was tied at 56-56. A war of tempos. The third quarter shifted momentum. Golden State surged with pace. Curry ignited a flurry. A layup, then a no-look assist to Kuminga, then a deep three in transition. The Lakers called timeout. Kerr clapped quietly. Steph breathed deep. But they knew it wouldn't last. Out of the timeout, Luka slowed the pace to a crawl. Two-man actions with LeBron. Endless decoys. Deliberate post-ups. They bled the clock and executed like surgeons. Curry looked at the scoreboard. Down 6. We have to speed it back up, he whispered to Draymond. Fourth quarter, grit over flash. The final stretch wasn't pretty, it was brutal. Screens turned into collisions. Passes were deflected. Players dove on the floor. Steph scored 11 in the fourth, including a turnaround jumper over Luka that made the building shake. But the Lakers responded with calm, high-percentage execution. In the final minute, Luka hit a dagger, a step-back three that gave them a 4-point lead. The Warriors fell 111-107. But it wasn't the loss that lingered. It was the feeling, they weren't just beaten, they were red. Post-game clarity. In the locker room, Curry wasn't angry. He was focused. They're not faster. They're not deeper. They're just more connected right now, he said to the room. Then he paused. Let's change that. No finger pointing. No drama. Just purpose. LeBron's warning shot. In the post-game press conference, LeBron was respectful but clear. You can't cheat the game. Steph never has. That's why he's always dangerous. But now it's about who can sustain the discipline longer. Wasn't trash talk. It was prophecy. Steph's response. Reporters asked Curry what Game 1 told him. His answer was brief. It told me everything I needed to know, about them and about us. No smile. No shrug. Just a quiet fire. There are moments in a playoff series that shift the air in the room. Not because of a scoreboard, but because of a presence. Game 2 began with familiar tension. Two teams locked in a chess match, every piece already bloodied from battles past. But this time, Stephen Curry came out like a man possessed. Not frantic. Not desperate. Just unshakably clear. He wasn't just reacting to the Lakers. He was shaping the game itself. Rewriting the rhythm. From the opening tip, Curry controlled the tempo like a composer. The Lakers tried to slow the game again. Double teams, delayed switches, soft traps. But Steph didn't fight the slow pace. He weaponized it. He walked the ball up with poise, manipulated Luka into late rotations, and ran two-man actions with Draymond that unfolded like puzzles. Each possession became a riddle and only Curry knew the answer. First quarter, 14 points. 3 assists. 4 rebounds. No turnovers. Golden State led by 9. The building wasn't just loud. It was alive. The look in his eyes. LeBron noticed it early. That look Steph had. Not revenge. Not ego. Intention. Between plays, Curry stared into the crowd, breathing slowly. Composed. His eyes weren't darting around like usual. They were locked in. At one point he hit a sidestep 3 over Austin Reeves, then backpedaled with his finger over his lips, not to silence the Lakers, but to quiet the noise inside the arena. He wasn't playing for the crowd. He was playing from somewhere within. The Lakers tried to adjust. Darvin Ham called for wrinkles, LeBron guarding Steph on certain switches, full court pressure, even zone looks. Curry responded with patience. When LeBron shaded his right, Steph floated left and hit a runner off the glass. When they threw length at him, he found Moody for an open triple. The Warriors' bench started erupting after every possession. But Steph didn't celebrate. He just nodded. As if to say, now you see what I see. The Luka factor. Luka wasn't quiet. He still poured in 28 points with a flurry of post moves, floaters, and deep threes. His connection with LeBron remained precise. But for the first time in the series, he looked rushed. Curry had tilted the rhythm just enough to make Luka think more, hesitate half a beat. That was all it took. In a timeout, Kerr looked at Steph. He's feeling you, Kerr said. Steph replied, now he has to. Third quarter surge. The third was when the wave came. Curry hit 3 threes in 2 minutes. 1 from the wing, 1 from the top, and a heat check from 32 feet that made even LeBron shake his head. Golden State's lead ballooned to 17. The Lakers called timeout. Steph walked to the bench, not yelling, not gesturing. Just smiling for the first time. That's when everyone knew. This wasn't a game. This was art in motion. Closing time. The Lakers made one final push in the fourth, cutting the lead to 8. But Curry calmly walked the ball up and sank a pull-up 3 in LeBron's face, then pointed skyward, not in arrogance but in thanks. Final score, Warriors 117, Lakers 106. Curry, 41 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. Zero fear. Post-game reverence. Reporters asked Luka what it was like facing Curry at this level. His answer was honest. He's not just hard to guard. He makes the whole court feel different. LeBron nodded beside him. Steph changed the game tonight, not just this one but the next one too. Balance restored. As the series even 1-1, momentum had shifted, not by force but by feeling. Curry didn't just win a game. He made everyone, fans, coaches, even opponents, believe again in the impossible. The series was no longer a battle of rosters. It was a battle of vision. And Steph's was crystal clear. The Warriors touched down in Los Angeles with a quiet confidence that belied the chaos swirling around them. The Lakers' home court was a fortress, packed with fans who believed in LeBron and Luka as the next great dynasty. The energy was palpable, almost suffocating. But Stephen Curry thrived in this environment. For him, hostile arenas weren't obstacles. They were fuel. Arrival and atmosphere. From the moment Curry stepped off the plane, he felt the weight of expectation, both from the Lakers loyalists and the wider basketball world. Every news outlet framed the series as a showdown, a clash of eras. But Steph tuned it all out. His focus was sharp. He had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in his mind, how to rise above the noise, how to set the tone for the entire series. Game 3, the statement. The opening tip-off in the Crypto.com arena felt like a war drum. Fans chanted LeBron's name. Luka's highlights played on the Jumbotron. But Steph answered in silence. He opened the game with a series of pull-up jumpers. Precise, patient, untouchable. By the end of the first quarter, he had already scored 15 points. The crowd was stunned. Adjusting to the physicality. The Lakers played with an intensity that could crush spirits. They pushed harder on defense, contested every shot, and bullied smaller players. But Curry didn't flinch. Instead, he adapted, using screens to create space, utilizing quick releases and angles to avoid contact. Every move was calculated. He wasn't trying to overpower. He was trying to outthink. Supporting cast steps up. Klay Thompson and Draymond Green took notice. Klay's sharpshooting stretched the Lakers' defense thin. Draymond's communication and rebounding disrupted their rhythm. Together with Curry's brilliance, the Warriors built a lead that felt impossible in hostile territory. The crowd shifted. By the fourth quarter, the energy in the arena had shifted. Cheers for the Lakers became quiet murmurs. Fans started applauding Curry's highlights, the deep threes, the clever assists, the fearless drives. Steph's smile grew. He knew this was more than a game. It was a message. Final whistle. Golden State won Game 3, 112-101. Curry finished with 36 points, 9 assists and 5 rebounds. The series lead now rested in his hands. A quiet reflection. That night in the locker room, Steph remained humble. He praised his teammates and spoke about focus. We control our destiny. The noise doesn't matter. Not here, not ever. Taking the fight into enemy grounds, Curry wasn't just playing to win. He was playing to command. The stage was set. Game 7. The arena pulsed with energy, anticipation, and history. For Stephen Curry, this was the culmination of everything: years of hard work, sacrifice, and evolution. LeBron James and Luka Dončić stood across from him, formidable and relentless. But Steph wasn't intimidated. Opening fireworks. The game exploded from the tip-off. Both teams traded baskets, neither willing to give an inch. Curry started aggressively, attacking the rim, pulling up from deep, and distributing with surgical precision. LeBron responded with powerful drives and defensive stops. Luka dazzled with clutch shots and court vision. The score remained tight, the lead swinging back and forth. Mid-game adjustment. At halftime, Curry emphasized the importance of patience and focus. Steph absorbed the message. He calmed the pace, found open teammates, and drew fouls. His leadership was evident, calming the team and setting the tone. Clutch moments. In the fourth quarter, with the game tied and seconds ticking down, Curry took control. He dribbled through tight defense, stepped back behind the arc, and sank a three-pointer that brought the crowd to its feet. LeBron had a chance to respond but was denied by a critical steal from Draymond. Final possession. With the Lakers down by 2 and 10 seconds left, Luka had the ball. Steph stayed glued to him, anticipating every move. Luka drove, kicked out to LeBron, who shot, but missed. The buzzer sounded. Warriors won. Aftermath. Steph fell to his knees, overwhelmed by emotion. The Warriors had triumphed. LeBron and Luka congratulated him, respect among Warriors. Legacy sealed. Curry knew this victory was more than a win. It was proof. Proof that greatness isn't just about talent but heart, mind, and soul. The basketball world watched as Stephen Curry cemented his place among legends.